Good afternoon. Good evening. How we doing? How we doing today, my friends? How are we? Good evening. Good evening. Apologize, I'm 2 minutes late again. I keep scheduling these weird times where when I'm setting the scheduling up in Streamlabs, I'll click like 38. I meant like 140, but I just quickly and I'm a minute late. My bad. My bad. Um bad. But yeah, interesting times. The window is starting to heat up a little bit. You've got the wrong profile, Robbie. Got the wrong profile picture for that. I'm good though. I'm good. How are we? How are we? How we doing? How is th- how's it all going? How are we feeling on this fine thing? You are all doing pretty. Have I still got the Yuckers hair dye? Oh, we won't be using it, my friends. I apologize. We will not be using. We can talk about Yuckers, but there's not much to talk about, to be honest. I can explain you kind of exactly what's going on as far as my perspective on it is, and it's nothing really. I mean, United, maybe I shouldn't say that because United are in a sense maybe being used a little bit, maybe participating in being used a little bit to become a bit of a nuisance for Arsenal to keep that price high. That's okay. Let's just let that stay. Let me not kill everything on that for a minute so that, you know, let's just let Sporting do what they're doing, okay? Because it's a no lose situation if, worst case scenario, it makes Arsenal pay more money. Well, most likely scenario, it pays more money. Um, they pay more money, but let's just kind of leave it. Let's just kind of leave it, okay? We don't need to tamper expectations. We don't need to. Hey guys, this part is false, okay? This part is false. United are super interested in Gyökeres. They're making bids for him imminently, pushing that price up. They've told Sporting they're willing to pay 90 million euros. There you go. And that's that, okay? But yes, there's nothing to talk about on Victor Gyökeres. There just is nothing to talk about. At this point in time, it's a non-factor in our discussions at this point in time. 95 million? Yeah, yeah. 100 million even? But yes, look, we've got let me just get this up on the screen here. That will get aggregated. We can clip it. We can clip it. Um They're in Bumo, number 19. Go, go, go. No, please don't. Please don't. Please, obviously. Looks like Mbumo should be set to be announced tomorrow, kind of as expected. Let me just Mbumo in the number 19 hit at Carrington today. Looks like doing some work, doing some training, doing some things like that. So that's kind of what we expected. He should be ready to go tomorrow and on the plane. But hey, very exciting times. Very happy to see Brian Mbumo there. Very happy to see that. Yes, we do have a few things to discuss today. He should be 19. Um, yeah, he should be announced tomorrow. Should be on the plane. No problems expected at this point in time. Let's. I've got a whole agenda. Um, Yes, I've got a whole agenda to speak about here, so we'll get into that. We'll talk up here a little bit about Marcus Rashford's situation, talk about the striker, talk about keeper, um, sales, things like that. So, a few things to discuss today. Obviously, Marcus has just landed in Barcelona. Um, just landed for in the on the off the plane in Barcelona for his move. So that's good. That's very good. I think that obviously this deal getting over the line frees up quite a bit of space for United. Now, while the striker is essentially our biggest priority here moving forward, um, the Rashford money could definitely be used elsewhere. But I am very, very happy to see Rashford get the move to the club that he wants to play at, and and all of that. Um, I just think that's great, and obviously it shows there are clubs that rate his talent and his ability and what he brings to the table. Um, you know, uh, so yeah, really cool, really really cool for him, and it works for everybody. Obviously, 30 million euros loan purchase option at the end of it is not super high, but to be expected with the kind of wages and things that he's on. We're never going to get a massive fee. You would presume that with that kind of option in place, there's personal terms that are sort of accepted, that are sort of to be acceptable to him, um, so that it could make a negotiation next summer easier. If they're happy with those kind of personal terms, then that should help us, because it's going to be higher fee. It's going to be higher wages. You know what I mean? And so, given that there's higher wages, you could expect there to be, that the fee was never going to be that high. That's really the issue. Do we know there's a loan fee? No loan fee, I believe. But what was kind of mentioned is that perhaps there's like a loan fee is almost like the same thing as a penalty clause, rather than calling it like there's no obligation for sure. But let's say what they're saying, like these clauses have existed in the past. This was discussed. We don't know if this is a part of the deal at this point or not. But where if they don't do the option, then they pay us a loan fee. Those kind of things have happened before where, all right, we don't take Rashford's option up next summer. We're going to pay 5 million over to you at the end of the season, for the loan. That might be involved in the deal. We don't know. But I don't agree with the statements, that um, I don't necessarily agree with the statements that that like they're not intending to buy him or something like that. I think they are. They essentially have gotten themselves the best deal possible. That's all. Why pay now when you can pay later? If we could get, who would be another example? If we could get Ollie Watkins for a loan plus option instead of buying him today, would we do it? Of course. Of course we would. If we could get Nicholas Jackson with a loan plus option instead of buying him today, would we do it? Of course we would. Of course we would, because it gives you time, it gives you space, it gives you obviously a little less risk, but that doesn't mean you don't like the player. It just means that, you want to have your options open. For them, it's better, and it means they could pay it later. And we know, given Barcelona's financial situation, any flexibility you can give them helps. They might have wanted to buy Nico Williams, sure, but they may not have been able to register him. Obviously there's other reasons and things like that, but it's a risk-free trial. Um, um, hold on a second. So yeah, I think this is okay. I think this is fine, and I do think it'll be done. Look, I think he's going to do well at Barcelona as well, and that's part of the point here. If he does well at Barcelona, why would they not buy him? You know, they're Lewandowski's going to be a year older. He can play in the middle. He can play in different positions. You know, they've got other players that may depart by that time. Look at what Antony did at Betis in La Liga. I think Rashford will smash it. He's always been good in Europe. Rashford's got a good record in European games. He's got a good record in the Champions League. He's got a good record in other things like that. Um, he still did. Even last year, he's had good performances in big games, which is one of the things that has kept him on Barcelona's radar because they want to win the Champions League and they need more performers. He's got good record in big games against big clubs. Rashford has. He's got one of the best records in for United in against the Big Six. So Antony being there doing what he's done, I think Rashford's going to do have a great season in La Liga. So, James Eustallion, make me a mod. um, I'm not going to comment on that story. I think it's whether true, whether false. I think it's very wrong for certain things to be put into the public space either way, and I never would do something like that myself. And I don't want to comment on it. I don't think there's anything to be gained by talking about these kinds of things personally. Um, so that's kind of the it's just I don't there's just things that I there's just stuff not worth getting into, and that is definitely one of them. Regardless, this is how I put it, no matter what, as I've maintained for a long time. Um, I don't even want to talk about true, not true. It doesn't even matter. It's the right time for all parties for Rashford to move on to another club and get a new start. Um, it just is. I've said that for months and months and months. It's the right time for everybody to get away from certain things and people and all of that. And just get a new start. I think it's the best thing for him, and I think it's the best thing for everybody. Everybody just needs a new start, a new chapter, and I think he's going to do amazing. And I'm very excited for him. And look, sometimes relationships just break down, and I think that sometimes gets too focused on the drama surrounding it. Sometimes it's just the right thing for a relationship to you just go on with your life. So um, that's it. So so yeah. Um, So anyway, that's what we've got on that. So that obviously frees up a bit of funds, um, for United this year, 17 million. I'll enjoy it. I'm gonna watch him at Barcelona with some games. I'm gonna watch him in the Champions League, and I think he's gonna be doing a lot of fun. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. It will always make me a bit sad. It will always make me a bit sad because Rashford's easily been my favorite player for a long time. Um, from the club and came from the academy. He's been here a long time. Type of player I think should have got more support, over the years. And sometimes things just happen, um, and you move on. But yeah, I wish Rashford had been a Man United lifer. But I've said before, I'm not gonna like turn on the manager or something like that coming in at the end of a situation. At the end of a long process of broken promises and toxic, contributions from all parties and just a mess, and who's coming in and just trying to clear away the old and start fresh. Sometimes you just have to do that, no matter who's at fault or what happened. And that's why I've never used it as a stick to beat Amarim with, because I understand how things got to that point. And he came in at the end of it. That's the only thing I've disagreed with. I really don't like it. I think you can you can be incredibly supportive of Rashford and admire him and want the best for him, and at the same time not use the situation to say, the manager's, doing something he shouldn't have done, doesn't have a, it has destroyed the club or something like that. You know what I mean? So because things this did not stuff like this didn't happen overnight. That's all I would say. There's a lot of stuff, there was no overnight change in the situation for Marcus Rashford. It's been a situation that was building for a long time, and that's the way that I will see it. So let's move on to striker then. Um, anyway, um, so moving on to striker. So there's a few different things on this. Okay. There's a few different things on this. We are definitely going to discuss Nicholas Jackson. All right, because from where I sit, okay. All right, let's get straight into it. Do we bid for Gyökeres or not? No. Let's make it really, really clear. Aside from my joke earlier, no, United have not bid for Victor Gyökeres. No, United have not engaged in new discussions with Victor Gyökeres. No, United are not sitting there trying to push a deal for Victor Gyökeres. Sporting want more buyers involved. They've had some contact to United. If the deal broke down, could United go back in? It's just purely speculative, but there's been nothing, of substance that has happened there, at this point in time. So that's good. That's what that is. In terms of the strikers, like I said, like I've said for a while here, the biggest thing on this is that United have to be able to be flexible with the money, with the sales, with Alejandro Garnacho in terms of his situation and see, you know, where are we at? What are we able to get done with the Garnacho deal? Because that is going to be potentially a big impact on what happens there. If you go buy a striker now, then if a team wants to offer you Jackson or offer you Watkins, then you no longer have this like bargaining chip. Like if they want, you know what I mean? If you just if in terms of getting Garnacho off the books. So that's part of the consideration there as to all the circumstances surrounding this deal. So Watkins and Jackson remain two of the most likely candidates to come in at striker, two of the most likely players that could come in at striker. Um, you know, two of the most realistic strikers that they could get this summer. Benjamin Šeško is one that again that they have looked at for a few years now. 2022, they were looking at Šeško and thinking, hey, we could get him in as a next kind of good prospect, young striker coming in the door, someone to develop here. The problem is, essentially, the biggest thing is that he's as I've said before, his price is so high for the risk involved, for the profile involved, for all of that involved. It's kind of like Ekatike. We're going to keep getting links and we're going to keep talking about it. But unless that price comes way down, we're not going to buy him. We're not even in the building for him, unless that happens. There's not been contact yet with anything about Šeško. There's not been contact yet at all for anything about Šeško anytime recently. There has been contact over Nicholas Jackson. There has been contact over Ollie Watkins. There has been contact with even others like earlier on, like Mateta and such, right? That we've looked at and checked in on and things like that. We've checked in on a lot of strikers, to be fair. But this is not one that's advanced at all at this point in time. It's such a big fee and such a big risk involved in it. And there's a few reasons for it. I mean, when I look at it, my biggest concern with Šeško is that he's just not the right guy. Like, he's even less the right guy than practically anybody we've looked at in this window. It's a big, it is a big gamble. When we look at it, if you look at Šeško and you look at how he's played, one of the things to kind of note here is that he's not actually like even improving. He's actually like somewhat diminishing. You can look at the minutes and the goals here, by the way. Like last season, Šeško was worse than he was the season before per 90. He had 14 goals in 1,500 minutes the season before. Now he's at 13 in 2,400 minutes. You look at his finishing, he went from vastly overperforming to slightly overperforming. His shot on target percentage was down a little bit. Like, he's not actually he's leveling out to a more reasonable level. He's not particularly prolific. He's actually like he's not a player who's overall actually getting better. Terrible narrative on Šeško last season. Šeško was asked to be more of a link-up player than a box-dominant striker. I mean, exactly. That's why we shouldn't buy him. He's not the right guy. He's not the right guy at all. And you're talking about a significant amount of money.
Rage Hauer? I think he suit us.
I like Samu, but we just haven't moved on him. He hasn't been getting better. I mean, if you look at like what we need as a striker, he's not even a striker. He's just if you watch him, you'll see he avoids the box. He's a 9. He's another 9.5.
If Šeško and Jackson price the same, who you taking?
I'm taking Jackson. I don't think Šeško's the right player at all. At all. He's not a channel runner. He's not a box striker. He's like, I don't see what he's going to bring to the table. When I watch him, he scores great. He's like one of those exact things where you say he's a scorer of great goals, but he's not a great goal scorer. That's who he is. I didn't say Jackson was prolific, but Jackson has similar stats in the Premier League already. Not in Bundesliga. Too much space in transitions, yeah. He's just somebody I've never rated that highly for years. I was good back in 2022, probably saying get him as a cheap young prospect, things like that. You bring him in to lead the line, and I think it would be a big mistake. That's just my opinion on it. That's my take on it. Again, does not accumulate a lot of XG, does not get into the positions you would want particularly well. I've watched him and I see these big powerful shots here and there, and otherwise not much else. A lot of link up, all of that, but you can get that a lot cheaper. You can get that easier. You just can. So for me, it's not like it's not like you're talking about players who here. I mean, I'll just show you. Like, I mean, it's funny the way that narratives work. It just is. Jackson is absolutely terrible, but Šeško is amazing. While if you actually like look at their numbers, one's significantly more productive than the other. Like, it's not even really close. Look at the touches in the box. He's in the look at the duels one. Like, this is a space player who drops around and facilitates. He accumulates less than average striker non-penalty expected goals. He's just not that amazing. He's just not that amazing. He's really not to me. And especially for how we play, it's just another guy who's going to drop in. We don't need it. It's just another guy who's going to avoid the box. You know, that's how I see it. Yeah, he shoots. He's a good shooter, but he doesn't shoot a lot. We've like, I'm not comparing him to Rasmus Højlund because Højlund isn't nearly the footballer he is. However, he doesn't shoot a lot. We need a striker who's going to shoot like a lot, who's going to get in the box and shoot. And of course, that's why my favorite option is at the moment Ollie Watkins, because you're talking about a player who nears the same conversion percentage, scores more goals, but still does everything else well, right? Watkins is easily the best choice of the three. To me, it's not even close that Watkins is the best choice right now. Watkins is the best player easily. Watkins is the best player of the three, and it's not even close. It's not even close. But he will do a lot. Watkins is the right profile. Like, again, you look at we do people, again, we do this thing, like where we speak about like strikers and players. Do you think we'll challenge for top four? Depends what we get. Where you look at, like, we do this thing all the time where we say we never build a team. We never build a team, of the right profiles. We never build a team of the right players. We never put the system together. We never do that. We just buy random players, and then we don't have a manager who fits the system, and we don't have this, and we don't have that. And then every time a football manager name comes along that people get real excited about that doesn't fit, people clamor for it. But where's the fit? Šeško look at the strikers we've gone for. Liam Delap, Victor Gyökeres, Ollie Watkins, Nicholas Jackson. They're all really similar in how they play football. Even Mateta is quite similar in how he plays football to all of them, right? Benjamin Šeško is a completely different footballer, a completely different striker. It's like if we were going to play Xerxes up front, you can do kind of the same thing. It's like a guy who's going to be tall and drop in and do all sorts of stuff. Like, profile wise, I never said Jackson over Watkins out at the same price. I've always said Ollie Watkins would be my favorite of the options. Always maintain. I want only players that fit the bill in terms of the profile of player that we want. A channel runner who gets in a box, scores goals, right? That's obviously my concern with Jackson, is that he does all the runs, all the moves, all of that, gets himself in the right position, but misses his shots. Of course, that's a big concern. But when, we just need the right people. We need the right people. I'd rather have the right profiles than the wrong ones. You buy good players who are the wrong profiles, and it all falls apart. We've done it so many times. We've done it time and time again, like over and over, So, yeah. It's like I'd rather buy the right profile to fit the system and the team. But anyway, regardless, those are all my opinions. I do know that some of those opinions are shared among others as well. But so be it. We did this with Højlund. People were doing he's an incredible talent. He's the best young player. He's going to do everything. But even back then when you watched Højlund, some people were like, he's kind of transition heavy. All his goals are kind of scored on the run. And then he came in, and then we tried to be a transition team to suit it. You know what I mean? And you notice that when we're not playing in transition, Rasmus Højlund has a really hard time. Well, it matters. This is how we ruin young players. They come in, they fit a split. Like, look at Jadon Sancho. Let's talk about the curious case of Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho was better by far than Ekitike, than Wirtz, than Šeško, than all of these guys in the Bundesliga. He was incredible in the Champions League. He did everything right. We all ignored this because we wanted to. If you watch how Jadon Sancho played football at Dortmund, and he came in to Solskjaer's team, all else aside, it was a joke. There was absolutely no plan to fit in a player of his attributes, his style, and the way that he played football. None. I'm not taking away from everything that's happened since then with Jadon Sancho. But let's not forget what type of player he was when we got him. And there was just no plan to integrate him in a way that worked. Even when he first came in, Tindang, welcome to the promo event. Before anything else happened, we had absolutely zero plan for how to use him. None. There was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. You need around Jadon Sancho runners. You need fullbacks charging by. Sancho always had an elite fullback around him. And then you had a striker with crazy movement, energy, runs, all of that stuff. Then we signed Cristiano Ronaldo, stuck Sancho on the bench, put him in a different position. We had no plan. And it completely failed, all else aside. Building a team that fits together is got to be priority number one. Otherwise, we will have constant failures in terms of the players that we buy, and who knows what'll happen. Ten Hag played him as a 10, and you remember that brief moment when he played Sancho as like a 10 in those brief little games. He actually did quite well. He played in it with people around him. The real question is how to fix our shambolic buildup. But we'll get to that. Apparently, Jackson scored 1 goal from January to May. He was injured for like 2 months of that period, to be fair. But yeah, are correct about that. It was just, this is what we do. You need to have the right profiles for the right players, especially when you're buying young players. Especially when you're buying young players. You just have to get it right. They have to be the right one. I've been consistent on this the whole time about my concerns about young players and my concerns about profiles. This is nothing new. I did a video on Šeško let's see. I did a video on Šeško he was one of the strikers that I ages ago and assessed them and said who's the right fit, who's the best one for Ruben Amorim. Guys, I can find it. Another day I will go back and find it. We don't have to go through it all again now. But yeah, to me it's fit. Fit is the most important thing. But regardless of my opinions, the reality is Benjamin Šeško quite expensive. Too expensive, too risky at this point. If his price comes down to 40-50 million later in the window, would it be considered? Sure, potentially. Because then you're talking about less risk, less issue. But he's certainly not the top of the list. He's not at the top of the list. And there are concerns over certain aspects to do with there are concerns over certain aspects of how he would. And again, the striker situation, though, I gotta say, has to be really flexible in this respect. It's got to be flexible. It's got to be something where we have to consider this. Like, how could we move Garnacho on? How do we get the funds in the door, and what can we actually do here? Because if we could sell Garnacho to somebody else, right, then obviously that gives us more options in the market to go to different people. But it's more realistic. The most noise on Garnacho continues to be Chelsea and Aston Villa. And so we have to keep our eye on that. And I think we'll spend on a striker. I think we'll get it done. But we do need to make more movements. We do need to get more players out. And all of that. So it's good stuff. It's very, very good stuff. I think we'll get somebody. And I think it's fine to be flexible at this stage in the window and say, you know, there's not as clear a target, right? That's the other factor here on striker, right? When we went for our positions, we said Cunha, we want him. He's our guy. We went for him first. We go to Mbumo, we wanted him. We wanted him bad, right from early on. We looked at striker and we said there's Delap, there's Gyökeres. Well, we're not getting either. Those were our two top candidates from a cheaper, a more expensive one. Um, and But when you move beyond that, you're talking about perhaps more opportunities, more players who could fit, more players who could do the job that we want. So I think this is one that could definitely change. Yes, say it again. Agile, be agile. But that's where we have to be with this, especially because of the Garnacho situation. I was thinking of Atletico because I was reading that comment. But there was a target. There was a target who was the clear top choice as a young keeper. And that's why I think this one is at this point building up quite a bit. And as I hear it, is quite serious. United have gone into this window wanting a keeper. They've looked at it the whole year wanting a keeper. I've been speaking about this for what, a year, 11 months now. United want a keeper. The news is heating up on Mr. Lamens. Lamens has been, for the start of this window and for months and months now, the main choice if we are to go for a younger keeper. Rather DCL than Jackson. Chelsea selling for a reason. DCL than Jackson. Oh, what? You'd rather Dominic Calvert-Lewin than Jackson. Okay, fair enough. Anyways, Lamens, um, Lamens has been the keeper that we've been talking about him for a long, long time. This was the situation. I'm gonna pull up a tweet that I put out at the end of June, following on a few other things. United have been scouting keepers, blah, 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 laments. But this one, goalkeeper, as of 28 June, goalkeeper continues to be of interest, though not expected to stay. At the moment, there's no clear path for departure. United have been scouting all year for competitions. Names such as Lamens, Karnasecki, and Trafford have been of interest. No offers made it to any clubs as of now. As of today, that remains the same situation. The options are narrowing down. The decision to be made was whether we get that younger keeper or whether we go for a more older, experienced keeper. This was what we talked about, I think, last week when we heard about the Onana injury. Brought that up. You know, Lamens was been the main guy that we would be looking at if we were to go to a younger keeper. Now, as we kind of heard through the week, and it was clear at the weekend, Vitek more likely to be sold than to stay. So the assessment, the view at the moment seems to be United do not have a top young keeper coming through that's expected to be ready anytime soon. So should they want competition, it seems like the younger route is more likely, more cost effective. You know, in terms of the veteran ones, Emi Martinez, obviously an option, but really expensive. When you look at his fee, when you look at the wages, they have not wanted to have Emi Martinez and Onana at the same time. If Onana were to leave, there's a world where you get Martinez and Lamens and bring two keepers in, but they have not wanted to have Onana and Emi Martinez on at the same time, and so at the club at the same time, spent too much wages. That's been the idea anyway. So Lamens seems to be the main name kind of heating up here. Statistically, when you look at him, Lamens, one of the best shot stoppers in all of Europe by the numbers anyway, saving the highest amount of expected goals to goals against over his time. I think this is based on the next 14, right? Highest percentage of crosses stopped, highest percentage of expected goals saved. So we talked about before, what kind of keeper would they want? Safe hands, stops crosses, right? set pieces and a pair of safe hands who makes good saves and stops a lot of crosses. So apparently that's what he's good at. That's what he does. That's what he's rated for, and that would be the reason they're interested. He's big, 6'4", big guy. Distribution wise, I don't think it's that important. Um, Seems like he passes short a lot. I don't know. Well, you'd have to watch more than that. Not a huge sweeper. You'll kind of notice this. I've said this
Chances of a
before about
midfield
Ruben Amorim.
signing this window?
We'll get to midfield, but low. I think the chances are low. But at this point, I think they're low. Does not, we're not really getting like these sweepers, right? We're not being really linked to sweepers, guys who rush out of the net, do all of that, because that's not really Ruben Amorim's style. If you look at his keeper at Sporting, same thing. Just want somebody who can stop some crosses, make some saves, and sit behind that back three for the most part. It's not the most important position on the pitch, but you just need somebody who's safe in there. So I think Lamens is definitely a good idea. Yeah, sweeper, things like that can come later on for sure. Goalkeepers can develop. Goalkeepers can round out a lot because it's such a specialist kind of skill set that yeah, I think they can change a lot. But he seems like the main name at this point. United are kind of pushing ahead with this. They've wanted a keeper all summer. He's been the main name if they go for a younger keeper, and that seems to be um, that it seems to be the main thing. The main thing there is to go for that young keeper that we don't have one at the club. And anyway, obviously, still, it's nothing's done on this, nothing's advanced on this. 17 million pounds. We have the money to make a deal for him now, and I think that this is why it's kind of coming to the forefront. This is where again we're going to be agile. We want a striker, we want a keeper, we want to make moves in these positions, and does not cost a lot of money because we have again those sales on striker, things like that we can make to get a deal done. It may work really, really well to go get someone like Lamens now, get another keeper in, have him ready to go, and then we can still make a move for a striker with the other sales and things that are done. This would be quite affordable. Wages will be out the bottom, right? So in terms of cost, United could just do it. United they can afford to go for Lamens right now if they want to. So we'll see if that's something they move for pretty quickly here on this. But obviously they've been scouting him all year, and now what did Fabrizio say today? um, Made initial contact to be informed on the deal conditions, main names if we go for a keeper, this summer. So we've been scouting him all year. We really like him, and we're ready to make a move for him. Mirror said we're finding a midfielder and striker. That's good. That's good for the Mirror. Everybody has different perspectives on information as to where things are. Did they mention a name and who we're getting? By the way, because without a name, um, it is what it is. When we move on to this, yeah, keeper, big priority here. Um, Something they've been looking at. So they should get a keeper. They should get a keeper. It's like obviously it would be crazy that we're doing all of this to not get a keeper. We've been scouting all year. We're following it up. We're making contact with with to find out more about the conditions. And hopefully we do move forward with this signing now. 17 million pounds. I'd like to see us make this deal. Yeah, we're not getting Ederson this summer. That's the issue. Ederson, Wharton, these are players we've been watching. These are players that we've liked. These are players we've been looking at. We're not in the ballpark of making a move for them. We don't have the money. We don't have the capability. The likelihood of them joining the summer is near zero. A huge part of what was going to have to happen in order to get a good midfielder in was something like Casemiro leaving. Okay. Um, that's what we were going to have to do. And we haven't. We don't have any significant departures in the midfield. Kone set to stay now. You've got Kone, Ugarte, Collier, Bruno, Casemiro, Menu. 6 players for 2 positions at this point in time. Nobody departing. Our money is very likely to be spent elsewhere first at the moment. And there's nothing even close to advanced when you talk about midfielders at this point in time. We've contacted 4, 5 strikers at this point in time. We've contacted 2, 3 keepers at this point in time. We have no contact with midfielders. We have nobody right now where there's a deal that could be there, to be done. It to me, I get it. It's probably better to go get your big boy midfielder next season when you can afford one, when you can afford someone who's going to fix the midfield. We don't need more maybes in the midfield. We need a top midfielder to come in. At the end of the day to upgrade there. And Casemiro will be gone at a certain point next season, obviously. Is there obviously could be a chance that something like Collier leaves later on in the window, and that gives us some money to make a deal there. With respect, what have you called right this summer? A lot. You could go back and watch the videos. I'm not gonna sit and talk through my reliability. You can also close the video if you don't like my words, but thank you for the money. Um, so yeah, at this point in time, yeah, maybe something. Yeah, sure. Attempt Paulinho on loan late in the window if we sell Collier or do something like that. Who knows? But right now, there's nothing advanced on a midfielder. In fact, the best links that we had were to Tolisso recently from an actually good source in France. Could we take Tolisso on a cheap deal late in the window? Maybe. Um, maybe we could. Maybe we could. Well, watch another channel then, man. That simple. Watch another channel. Watch another channel. All good. So yeah, if I knew we were going to be do anything, then I would do something. Then I would say it. I ahead of the season, obviously we had looked at Paulina. We had looked at Ederson. He was really, really liked. But we've not done anything, and the likelihood of making any of those deals is very, very low, unfortunately. But yeah, Tolisso probably one that's been proposed to us. That's part of the issue. Those are the players that, the ones we've liked. Yeah, and then there's been like Ndidi. Like, there's been some really cheap, like older, like kind of bottom end midfielders, proposed to us, but none of them of substance as of yet. I mean, a week ago, people were going on and on about Richard Rios. Like maybe it was 3-4 weeks ago. On and on, all these links to Richard Rios. There was nothing in it. We don't really have any solid progress on a midfielder at this point in time. Should United decide to go and get a midfielder and move on a midfielder, they haven't yet. And it could happen in the future. Let's see what happens with our sales and things like that. But as of yet, we haven't. So as of right now, it is accurate to say that it's unlikely we don't have a midfielder lined up. There's nothing like there for a midfielder. For strikers, for keepers, we've made contact with a bunch of them. We've actually assessed a bunch of them. We've talked to a bunch of them. We haven't yet on the midfield front. So on that basis, it's unlikely at this time. That's what I deal with. Otherwise, you're just predicting the future and guessing. There's been many times you're not going to get to everything. You know what I mean? And so as of now, that it would just be predicting. It would just be a prediction to say we'll get a midfielder. Douglas Luiz was offered to us, and that would have, but we haven't accepted that, right? That's another factor there, right? Like Douglas Luiz was offered to us. That was a midfielder offered to us. We didn't accept that. We could have Douglas Luiz if we wanted him, but we haven't yet, right? And we haven't accepted that deal. We didn't respond to Juventus and say, yes, we want Douglas Luiz. So it seems like we just haven't made kind of a move in that situation. I totally get Amarim's comments on the midfield, but bear in mind that he also was the one pushing the hardest to keep Bruno Fernandes. So, and he was also talking about the first half for what it's worth. He was talking about Casemiro and Bruno as a partnership. He might feel that he's going to be fine with Ugarte and Bruno. Because certainly Ugarte and Manu brought a lot more pace, a lot more speed, and a lot more intensity in the second half of that game. So, um, yeah, what have you? What striker do you think is more likely to come? I think right now Jackson or Watkins for sure the most likely strikers to join it. Yeah. So yeah, that is what it is. Now, I also would say you could technically take Amram's comments just a little bit different than how they've been taken. Um, you could read it a different way. You could have read that he was talking about striker technically, if you read it a slightly different way. Um, but we'll see. Then there's Kone, who's going to stick around. Hopefully he gets his chance in preseason. I think he will. That's why he's kind of sticking around. Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I obviously we do know it's been well documented and reported that Ruben wants to add a midfielder. We do know that, right? That he went into the window wanting a midfielder. But that's very different to whether there's anything advanced or the right players available or we can afford them. And as of now, there's nothing that I could say that would tell me. There's nothing I could honestly say that would tell me we are on the verge of signing any kind of midfield advanced. On the keeper perspective, we are. Lemens been talking about since like March. Been talking about keeper for 11 months. Now we've made contact. That's the steps you want towards a transfer happening that kind of indicate we're actually moving on that. On the striker front, it's very obvious that that's what we. Um, so that's where we're at as of now. But if we decide to move for a different position, that's cool. There's still 40 days left in the window, so let's see what else can happen. You know, um, let's see what else can happen in. But yeah, Lamens, it's looking like the clearer choice at the moment is going to be to go for a younger keeper, and Lamens should hopefully be the main name here. We do still need more sales, and we still need to be like, how would I put this? Like, again, flexible as to what happens because the sales are going to determine a lot. If an offer comes in from Garnacho from a club that isn't offering or isn't that we're not linked to a player, then obviously that gives us cash to do different things in the market. As of right now, the strongest links continue to be from as of now, it seems like the strongest links continue to be from what's his name? From Chelsea. But there's still talk of Aston Villa. Yeah. Anthony, I saw that report today on Atletico. Uh, I would be quite surprised if we didn't see stuff from Spain on Anthony before we saw something from some of my random report inning. Quite honest, I'd be quite surprised. What we've heard from Simon Stone and from others is that Anthony is focused on a move to Betis, is pushing through a move to Betis, that his agents have been in Sevilla to discuss a move to Betis, that he's come back from Brazil to push a move through to Betis. He turned down a move to Como. Obviously, Atletico is a step up from Como, no doubt about that, and it's a very good club. But I think I don't know. I can't honestly say because I've never heard anything except Betis for him for months now. So yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Joining late, but did Barca fleece us 30 million euros? No, because if they've agreed the fee, the wage structures, and we won't have to do a payoff, then that would be why the fee is low. If Rashford was on 150K a week, then the fee could be if you realize how much money that is, then the fee could be 45, 50 million. But because of his because of his wages, then it's always going to be lower. It has to balance out somehow for everybody. But wages off and 30 million next summer would save United 45 million in profit, which is pretty big. Then there's the never-ending Sancho saga, the never-ending one where every report in Italy claims day in and day out that they're on the cusp of making a signing of Jadon Sancho to Juventus. Like I said before, all I've heard on our side is that they've had that contact, they have the conditions of a deal, they know what to do there. It's the strongest interest there. Sancho's prioritized that move to Juventus, to Italy after Napoli stepped away. Juventus really Napoli, I think. Juventus really the only option. There's been plenty of talks on it, but right now, like it's certainly not done, but it's certainly not done. It's the type of thing that could probably be done quickly, but it's still not. And I think there's some people continuing to like. There's just like too many stories on it. I don't think they've actually made that move yet to sign him that we discussed. Like 10 days ago, I was saying that we need like that they know kind of the conditions. They actually have to decide and do it and actually put a real bid in or something like that to actually get it over the line. I still don't think that's happened. I think it continues to be like considered. I think there continue to be like his agent was there and they're still talking about it, but they haven't actually made that move yet. So it is pretty typical. Maybe they're thinking we'll sweat. Maybe they were like floating the idea of a 15 million bid and they haven't put it in, but it's like, you know, these guys and some of these Italian guys were like, us 24 hours, 24 hours and then we'll make a move. You know what I mean? 24 hours and it'll be done. And then nothing, and it's like, clearly they haven't actually bid at this point in time. Clearly they haven't, so, we'll just have to wait. We just have to wait. Yeah. I think they're gonna keep pushing it down. Maybe they're making other sales. Maybe they're lining up the money. But I think it will happen. I think it will happen to Juventus still. I do. I think it's still the type of thing that can be done really quickly. That's why it will happen. Isn't it, for the sales? Nobody really knows. I'm Alassio, unfortunately. Or something will happen there. So yeah. Get to let's get to the Yap session. Like button is broken. Oh no, that's too bad. I didn't do a poll. What about Rasmus when we get a striker in? Who's gonna take him? We can get the keeper in before we travel. No, I don't think we'll get anybody else in before the tour. I don't think we'll get anybody else in over the tour, for sure. But yeah, I mean, again, from my side, I think that Sheshko, again, too expensive. I push him a little bit down the list for that reason. If he be available for a lot less, then the risk would be considered different. There's been other people. There's been other people. There's been other more main targets being. And Lamens, I think, is really is serious. I think it's serious. This is no longer just a yap on Lamens and the keeper front. It's serious. One transfer a month? No. Um, obviously we'll have to move a little bit quicker. Maybe we need another fishing trip in Iceland. The next thing to get done. Why do people keep misspelling Embuemo as Embuemo? Yeah, well, because people pronounced it as Embuemo. I when it was early on, I did the same thing, and then I was corrected because people always pronounce it Embuemo for some reason, and it's not. It's not. And so if you're pronouncing it Embuemo, you would think it's like that. It's almost like Spanish word, Embuemo, but so people got to get the name right. We have a sell on profit on Greenwood, but yeah. Obviously, the tour this week, United flying out on Tuesday. I will be flying in. Let me ask everybody in chat here because there's a lot of people here at the moment. I'll be flying into Chicago on Thursday. How many people? If you're gonna be here, I'm worried Emran will play Bruno deep versus top teams. Maybe he will. We'll see. If you're going to be in Chicago this weekend, can you type a 1 in there? Like if you even live in Chicago or you're coming for some of the tour between this coming Thursday, next Thursday, or through the game, can you type a 1 if you were going to be in Chicago? Because I'm just wondering if they're actually like how many people there are. It's a worldwide fan base, but I'm always surprised by just how small a portion is actually American, even in my chats and stuff like that. But how many people are going to be there? Type a 1 if you're going to be there, just so I can see. Okay, you're typing other random fucking number. See a couple. Okay. All right. You live there. Okay. All right. Nice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, that's a decent. That's decent. Yeah. Um, Juan. Oh, Manchester's nowhere near Chicago. You just take a flight over. It's a good city in spirit. So there's at least like 7 of you. Cool. All right. If you're gonna be at MetLife, type 2 for me. If you're gonna be at the MetLife game, type. If you're gonna be in New York. You're not allowed in America? How come? That mean tweets? Gotta be a few people at MetLife. Two. Two. Well, there should be. I feel like there should be more people. There'll probably be more people at MetLife than Chicago. That was my thought, but since it's New York and all of that, but maybe not. Maybe not. A few. Yeah, I'm gonna do some videos every day. I'm gonna do vlogs every day. Hold on. Wait right here. Wait right here. I was actually test this like today to do a little live or something. Um, I got one of these things to attach my phone and do some live uh live logging. Um, I've got the lapel mic and all that stuff. So I'm very excited to try this stuff out. So I will be doing some lives, and I will be doing some vlogging over there as we go in. I'll kind of show you guys as well, like how it works for like press as you come in. How it works for press. How you do all of that. Um, I've got the little mics. How it works for press mics. Um, I can show like the stadium, so I can show walking, how it works coming in. So I can show like a kid at Christmas. so I can show you like all of that kind of stuff and the game itself, the media room, whatever I can film. There's things I can't, but there's things that I can. When after the game as well. This is gonna be cool because I've never gotten to do this before. I've been there, but I've never had the material to do it. I've got the mic thing which I can hold. so that when the players are walking in the press area later, there's always interviews, a couple players after the game. I can record the interview. I'll hold the thing, I'll hold the mic, I'll get the interview with the players. So we should get all of that so that I can have all that stuff on my own channel this time. So I got a few things to figure out. I'll try to do like a daily thing over there. We'll see what else. We'll see what else. There's chances of other interesting content with the club during that time to see if we can get some. We can get a player. We can get somebody else, something like that as well. So we will see. I'm gonna ask. It's always worth asking certain people who I can get something on that. Um, That'll be fun. But it should be good. It should be good. And then I will be doing the like the either way, like I'm gonna have discussions, I'm gonna have things like that, and then same things, then ideally some info and things that I can share and stuff like that. What if it doesn't matter. I don't hate Rasmus Højlund, but I don't think he's been performing well enough or not. There's nobody at this club I hate. It's just not like that. You know what I mean? It's not like that, and I don't feel that way. I'll interview somebody. Why would I not? I'll ask them a question. Um, you know. So we'll see. We'll interview anybody. More than likely it'll be some younger players. That happens a lot, or it'll be some super experienced guys who've been around a lot. The Maguire and stuff. But it'll be cool. There's nobody on the tour as far as I know. No. Is Ten Hag at United right now? I don't think he is. Um. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super excited. So I might do a little like tester live. I've never actually live streamed from my phone before, so I don't know how it's gonna work. But we will see. Yeah, Heaton. We might get Heaton. They trot Heaton out for the media very often to say. But yeah, Yoro was good after the Sweden game. Yeah, that kind of stuff is what I'm talking about. We should be able to do things like that. Um, hate is a very strong word. I'm not gonna be weird. He's basically a child. Good lord. Bad reception and clipped audio. um, but no, I'm really excited for this. This is fun. Every one of the tours I've been the last couple of years, I've only been there for like a day. And so, it's been helpful. There's been a lot of very interesting things that have gone on each time, a lot of things that I've learned. Um, and but this time I'll get a week, multiple days, multiple things that I've never gotten to do. Um, some training, things like that as well that I should be able to video some of as well. So up close and personal. Yeah, I'm very excited and appreciate everybody and the opportunity, even though this is definitely going to be a lost leader on the on the on the financial aspect of the channel. um, it'll be fun. And yeah, obviously if I can, as I get there, because I haven't figured this all out yet, but I don't know how many people there would be. I'll tweet, I'll put in Discord, things like that. I'll talk about like um who, like, if there's a good place to meet up with some people want to meet or hang out at any point a little bit during the week that I'm there. I'll try to figure something out as well. But I should also be over in MetLife, but just for the one day over there. I'm gonna fly in, fly out like same day. Exhausting but fun. Show Barati your PowerPoints. Like he hasn't seen them already. Does the lack of movement on the ownership front worry you? No, not at the moment. Not at the moment, because I don't expect we'll hear anything until it's like happens, on the front end. He's seen him. Be real. Omar knows. Omar knows. I think there is a United bar. That might be a good place to meet up for some people as well. I'll be in at MetLife for the day. Right. See if I can get an invite on Sir Jim's boats. See if I can get to Iceland. Find good vibe. If he's at the stadium or around, then I'll try to meet him. He seems like a nice guy. Obviously, I'll meet up with Flex and KG and them. Okay. Well, it's Sunday. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my day. Got a very, very busy week ahead of leave. So I will see you all later. All right. See you tomorrow. Um, if anything else comes out tomorrow, Mbumo will be announced. Brian's announcement coming tomorrow. Probably gonna be like 5 a.m. for me, so I'm gonna try to wake up maybe 3 a.m. I swear it's always like 10 and 12 in the morning, like UK time, so middle of the night. But Brian and Mbumo's announcement coming tomorrow. It is coming. So hopefully we see. I'll try to wake up for it. Okay. Have a good one, everyone. See you later. Goodbye.